Look, if your employer gaslights you at 9 a.m. and then writes you up by 3 p.m., oh, it's time to have your receipts ready, okay? Documentation is absolutely your defense. And I'm going to get all the way into it today. This is actually going to be, this is a topic that is so talked about often between me and a potential client, or I get this a lot in the comments when I talk about anything, you know, legal or HR related when it comes to these toxic jobs. So I want you to listen up, because this is going to be a subject that you may have requested to hear more about. And if you're one of those people who have been in my comments asking for more of these kinds of conversations, these kind of candid and courageous conversations around how to handle these toxic jobs and these workplace bullies, this is going to be the video for you. Now, I know I talk a lot about healing on my channel because that's what I do as a holistic business coach and RN health and wellness educator. That is my jam, right? That's the area I specialize in. And healing does matter, but evidence matters equally. Okay. And sometimes it could matter. Well, I won't say more because that's not true, but certainly equally important. What I need you to know is that I want you to protect your peace and your paper. Okay. We're not there to collect those checks and those coins for no reason, right? We want to make sure we protect our peace, maintain our power, stay in control, right? And definitely protect the paper too. So documentation is in my DNA personally, okay? It's not a natural thing for everybody to do, but for me, being a very detailed oriented person, it's always been just a part of who I am. So that's why I say it's like in my DNA. And I'm also a trained RN. And that's one of the first things we learned. You know, if you're a nurse, right? Any of my nursing peeps who's following me or part of my community here, you know what it is, right? What's the saying? Nursing 101? If it's not documented, it never happened, right? It didn't happen. Because how are you going to prove it in a court of law? So what would any prudent nurse do? Always document, right? So my model to you, if you remember nothing else from this video, which I hope you watch it all the way through, okay, because I got some juicy information here that could potentially change your whole entire life. But I want you to take this away with you and say it like a mantra. Documentation is your defense. Documentation is my defense, right? Documentation is my defense. So okay, something else came to mind, but I'm going to save that for a little later when I'm talking about that particular thing so I don't confuse you by jumping the gun. Okay, my mind works really quickly. So the first thing I want to say is you might be questioning, well, when do you actually document? Do you wait for something to happen? You know, do you wait for a certain situation or a scenario to arise? When exactly? And I will always tell you, you should be documenting from day one. Okay, from day one, from the first day you walk your foot in the door of the building of whatever the job is you got, whatever the employer is you're working for. Now, there may never be a need for you to utilize that documentation to your benefit. But if you know the saying is, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right? So we want to make sure we're always well prepared and 10, 15, 20 steps ahead of what inevitably will happen in the corporate environment. Because unfortunately, not all employers are bad, okay? But there are a lot of toxic environments, unfortunately, in the workplace. It just is what it is, okay? No lies detected or told here, okay? So knowing that, you always want to be prepared for the day that will inevitably come. Even if it's not this job, it might be the next job or the next, or it may be all of the jobs. So you want to make sure that you always are on your P's and Q's, dotting every I, crossing every T, and getting yourself in the mindset of and in the habit of Document it. Document, document, document. Okay? Sing it like a song. I can do a remix for you if you want me to, okay? So, but seriously, I want you to document. What do you document? First of all, I'm going to quiz you at the end of this, okay? So pay attention. You document from day one. As soon as you put your foot in the door, a toe in the door, doesn't matter. As soon as you get in that job and sit your buns on that seat, we're starting today, okay? So you want to document dates, you want to document times, you want to document names and titles, you want to document scenarios and sceneries, right? You want to document emails and text messages and phone calls. Now, I want to say a little quick word about the phone calls. Just make sure when you're in the room with somebody that, so this applies both to phone calls and when you're in person. If you're in the room or on a phone call with someone, you might be inclined to record, just whip out that cell phone or just kind of incognito, put your recorder on. Be really careful with that because the laws, depending on what the law says, and that's per state, you could get yourself in a world of trouble if you're recording someone without their knowledge. Okay? In some states, that is required that you get that person's permission or consent first to record the conversation. But what you don't need permission to do is take notes, okay? And write things down when they're fresh in your mind right away. So if there are any inappropriate behaviors, you want to document those, especially those that are discriminatory by nature, that are harassing by nature, that are retaliatory by nature. Not necessarily by nature, but right. But if you fit in a particular class, if you are, if it pertains to your gender or, age or race or creed or religion, disability, sexual orientation, any of those types of categories, right? Those are protected classes. So if you are getting any, harassment or retaliatory behavior or discrimination around those sort of classes, that is problematic. Those are big red flags. That's beyond a toxic work environment. It could actually turn into a hostile work environment, right? We want to address that, but at the right time. But those are the types of things you should be documenting. Every detail, okay? So just remember, document the details. Document the details, okay? I want to make this easy for you so it becomes a part of what you do from now on if you haven't already done it. Because I want you to be able to, I want you to have all of the information that's necessary when it comes time to present your case, if there should be one, right? Now, where do you document? On a pad, right? Just a regular pad, carry that around with you, carry a little notebook. Now, if, nurses always have pockets everywhere, right? So if you have, I don't know, pockets or a pocket book or something small, something that you can just kind of whip out at the time you need to, even a little flash drive, okay? You want to carry that around. Now, be careful not to put the flash drive in and not take the flash drive out, because now you've just given up your evidence, right? So I used to carry around both. Always had pens, little pads, sticky notes, right? And my little flash drive. And, so I can whip it out, put it in, type what I need to, pull it right back out, drop it back in my pocket, okay? Whatever you need to do, just make sure, even in your notes, right? You can even put it in your phone notes. So Evernote's a good app, that keeps all the notes you need forever and ever and ever until you delete it, and it's synced to the cloud. You can put it in if you have an iPhone, and that will sync to the cloud as well. But whatever you need to do, text it to yourself until you can get home or in a place where you don't have anybody around you, and document it on your lunch break, in your car, when you're at home, first thing in the morning, or before you go to bed, whatever you got to do, again, while it's fresh on your mind. Okay, that's really important, because you'd be surprised as you get, go on with the busyness of your day, if you're not somebody who has good both short or long-term memory, right? And things just kind of, your mind will just naturally take on the things that it needs to remember and do away with the things that it don't, right? If it doesn't need to remember it, it's going to like kind of put that to the side. So you've got to learn how to either compartmentalize that information, or if you're not good at remembering, you don't have a really good memory, then you want to write that down right away, even just quick little bullet points so that it'll jog your memory later to go back and think of the details. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So use a private folder, flash drive. Another good place to document is on your Google Docs or even on a Google sheet. You can just make a spreadsheet where, it shows where you can just drop in the information really quickly, and you can pull that from anywhere, right? You can work on or offline, and you can just have access to it wherever you are. That's another really good way, and you don't have to worry about a flash drive. You just pull out your phone or your computer and put it on there real quick and done. Okay. The main thing here, the main takeaway from this point is just to say that you want to maintain supportive documentations in a very organized fashion. You want it to read like a story. So you want it to be as comprehensive as possible, but you want to make sure that it's very well organized so it's not all over the place, because if we did need to make sure that it was going to hold up in a court of law, should that day come, right? Or even if you were to go present this to the EEOC, right? The Equal Opportunity or Equal Employment Opportunity Organization, I think, or Commissioner is what that stands for. Okay, there's one in every city. That may be where you start, but they're still going to need your documentation in a very organized fashion. So you want to make sure, because here's the thing, this is the truth. Anytime you have information on your device, and the device belongs to the company, the employer, and you have access to their systems, if they were to put you out on an admin leave while they did some sort of investigation, if they were to, if you were on a medical leave of absence, and if they terminate you, okay, the first thing they're going to do is lock you down. Okay, they're going to lock you out. You are not going to be able to get into those systems ever again. So, and even if you were able to come back, they could easily erase all of that. Okay, so you want to already be not only documenting, but forwarding emails to yourself. So any emails that are out of pocket, any emails that, pertain to whatever the situation or scenario is, you want to be forwarding those to your personal email that you can get to and have access to from your home or wherever you are remotely. You follow me? Then keep a timeline, okay? A timeline that is going to log everything. You want to take screenshots where you can of anything that's relevant to your case, the case that you're building. Again, in the event that you need it, you might not need it in this particular situation, right? Or with this job, but maybe another job will come and you'll need it. So just always be documenting just for later, if you need it for later, right? You don't want to scramble around and try to recall dates and details when you are in the middle of a heated debate or a debacle. You understand what I'm saying? Again, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Now, I want you to also save your performance reviews and any compliments that you've gotten, any cutesy kind of cards that you were given that says, oh, Janet, Barbara, whatever your name is, Stephanie, plug your name in, has done great. She's awesome. She's always helpful. She's a team player. She works well independently, but she's great on the team. She's a leader. She has leadership qualities. She's all these wonderful, fabulous things. We just love and adore her. Keep those. Okay. But also keep any substandard reviews, any complaints that you might receive, any corrective actions, any PIPs, which stands for, I was about to say process, but my mind is drawing a blank. And I realize I'm sucking my teeth a lot as I'm thinking. Sorry about that, because that might be piercing to the ear or just getting on your nerve, because it's annoying to me when people do it. Process improvement plan. No, performance improvement plan. I'm like, what is the darn thing? PIP. I say PIP so often. Okay, that. But it's basically tied into your merit increase or, and just your performance overall. which if you're getting paid for performance, which most times you are as an employee, as a W-2 employee, then they can tie that in if you have a substandard review and say, yeah, nope, you're not getting anything. Okay. Any bonuses, incentives, that sort of thing. So just keep all of that. I did it again. I don't know why I'm doing that in this video. Just skip it. So, okay. So here's what I want to say. Almost lost my train of thought. Okay. It's not just about you collecting evidence. This is about you creating leverage. Okay. You're not just collecting evidence, you're creating leverage. So again, what's our mantra? Documentation is, I said, I'm gonna quiz you, right? I'll come back to that. Or drop it in the comments. That's what you can do. In fact, speaking of which, if you're getting what I'm giving and you love these gems I'm dropping, go ahead and leave a comment right now so we can get this discussion popping. I would love to know, what are you learning so far? What's resonating with you the most? Are you in a toxic job situation or a hostile work environment right now? And you're trying to figure out your rights and what you're entitled to and how you can fight through this and what you need to do exactly. What are you dealing with right now? And let me know if there's anything in this video that I happen to not cover that you want to know more about, and I can do a follow-up video on that for you, just for you, okay? Now, also, if you are vibing with me and you also love my content, my videos in this particular episode, make sure that you peruse around my page for any other applicable videos that might apply to you with where you are in the journey right now. But also subscribe, okay? Because if you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a single episode whenever I drop new content and or go live. All right. Now, what else do I want to share with you? Well, here's what I want to do. I think this is a good time to just, because you might not be familiar with my work. So I don't want to make the assumption that you are. I always like to just share a piece of my story, because I really feel like when you know that I have firsthand experience and lived experience, and, you know, it's not just about the credentials all the time, although I have both the credentials and the lived experience, I still want you to be able to resonate with me and know that I really truly feel where you are and where you're coming from and what you're going through. So this is a great time for me to inject a personal story. Okay, here's truth. This is really a true story. And this is, well, first of all, let me say, in case you're not familiar with my background, got a hair here, excuse me. If you're not familiar with my background, I am a holistic business coach and an RN health and wellness educator, and I also deem myself as a freedom strategist, okay? Prior to doing this work, I was working in corporate America for a long 30 years, okay, in the tenure of my career. But after personally and professionally experiencing workplace bullying and discrimination, harassment, retaliation, even a mob approach, okay? I don't know if you have ever experienced that, where you get ganged up on by the supervisors, so your superiors and your subordinates. That's a trip, okay? I can tell that story. I have a whole series, in fact, of corporate chronicles, and I do believe I may have already shared that story, so you can look for that there. But I digress. And it's about, in case you, I can even drop it in the, I'll make sure it's in the description box so you can watch that. And it can come up on the end screen as well, so you can watch that video, okay? So you can hear how that played out. But, okay, so, you know, I have a lot of training, right? I have training as a nurse, as a registered nurse at the bedside. I also have training in leadership for the 20 plus years, coaching and consulting, and HR is in my background, as well as legal, right? I was a legal nurse and still am a certified legal nurse consultant. And so I got into the legal side of things because I wanted to legally fight corporate bullies, because I get very tired of people that are, you know, the powers that be, you know, those who are in these big authoritative positions, who have these authoritarian attitudes and these inappropriate behaviors, and they do any and everything that they possibly can to try to get away with murder, right? To get away with the things that they shouldn't be trying to get away with, but they will try you. And if you don't know any better, and you don't know how to advocate for yourself, well, then you won't, right? So I won several cases for myself, several. Okay, to include 6-figure settlements, 5-figure settlements. I've gotten bullies demoted. I've gotten bullies fired. Okay. I even have gotten policies and procedures changed, and I've had audits conducted on certain organizations, nearly getting their doors shut for good if they didn't change. I was also I was a transition champion, which is what we called it back then, a consultant basically. And I went into corporations. I worked with and for the Studer Group as a contractor. So I was my own, I worked as a contractor. So I was independent, but I still worked with the Studer Group, if that makes sense. And basically I was a consultant for them, and I went into the various organizations where there were toxic environments, hostile work environments, right? And they were trying to change if they cared. The powers that be, wanted to change the culture of their organization. And so I was a part of that transition. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to working in toxic environments, right? And also helping to fix what's broken. And so I have advocated a lot, not just for myself, but for those employees and leaders alike in the workplace, right, who didn't have the courage, didn't have the knowledge, and didn't necessarily have the capacity, the bandwidth, the time, the energy, or the voice to fight for themselves. Okay. So I know a thing or two, right, firsthand, the power of documentation. It helps to prepare you both legally and emotionally. And you're going to need both. You're going to need to be prepared for both. Okay. Because I have been through suing companies, and it's not the easiest thing to go through. It really isn't. It can be long and drawn out. It could be quick, okay, especially if you go through mediation and settle. But it can also be long and drawn out. The longest case that I had was 5 years, okay? Now, I won a big settlement eventually. However, that was a lot of my life being consumed, right? So, as you can imagine, so document, right? And I haven't forgotten, I'm going to quiz you in the end here. So I want to make sure you're paying attention. This is very important. Documentation is important. Why? Because it's a paper trail. It's a paper trail that keeps your story from being erased. And let me just tell you, you probably already know this if you've experienced it, but what I can say for sure is that your employer will do everything they possibly can to change the narrative and twist it in their favor, right? They want it to work for them. And they will do it in a heartbeat and feel no type of way about it, and they will sleep well at night, okay? You will be the only one up at night losing sleep and not knowing what's next. So the warning to you is don't wait for HR to gaslight you before you start protecting yourself. And we're protecting ourselves how? Documentation, right? Documentation is key to all of this. So what I want you to do next is, if you're in a bind right now and you're like, okay, this is great information, I want to know specifically what to do for my scenario and where I am right now and the toxic job that I'm feeling stuck in and trapped in and don't really know which way to go. Maybe you don't want to burn bridges. Maybe you're just afraid. Maybe you don't feel like you have a strong enough voice to advocate for yourself. Whatever the case might be, go ahead and book a Freedom and Focus Clarity call with me so we can get you on your path of freedom, but giving you the clarity that you need. Now, I do want to be clear that this clarity call is exactly that. It is not a free coaching call. It is a 50 to 60-minute clarity call, a soul, what am I calling it? Soul-aligned strategy session. It is designed to help you reclaim your peace and your power, to know how to pivot in these circumstances and predicaments, and to map your most aligned next move so you can walk away with clarity and confidence. And exactly what you walk away with is a personalized game plan. It is customized to your situation, so you know how to move forward, okay? It is also clarity on what's keeping you stuck, what's keeping you there, what's holding you back, what's making you stay and feel still stuck and stagnant, what's holding you hostage, why, the deeper work you need to start doing. And it gives us an opportunity to figure out if we are a good match for each other. If we're a perfect pair, then we could talk about other ways in which I can support you in a deeper way, giving you, longer support and we can talk about the details of that in the actual call. Okay, so that's what this is about. And I'll discuss with you, of course, what the investment is. There is a small investment for the call, but you walk away with so much that it's a win-win, whether you work with me on a longer container or not. You might just need one-off support, and that's fine too. There's no pressure ever. It's just a conversation between you and I. I want to get to know you better, what you're dealing with right now, and how I can support you in your journey with where you are right now. So it's about meeting you where you are. And if you want me to help you get from where you are now to where you ultimately want to be, then there again, we can talk about what it would be like and what it would entail for us to actually work together and what options are there for you. Okay. So again, no pressure at all. I do need to make a quick disclaimer, although the disclaimer is in my description box. I want to say this. I don't say it often, but I need you to know I am a legal nurse consultant. I am not an attorney. Okay. That's first. And although I am a licensed professional registered nurse, and, here on my channel, on my calls, and in any of my programs, I do not provide any health information beyond my scope of practice, nor do I offer any health advice or nursing services to the general public. Okay. Yes, I'm a nurse, but I am not your nurse. I am not on your healthcare team. I do not know your background, your medical situation, your mental story, whatever you might be going through. Okay. I do not have access to your medical records. So the information, the guidance, and the support that I offer, that I do actually provide, is not meant to be a substitution of any medical or mental health care you might be in need of. I want you to go ahead, if that is your need, if that's what you need right now, please seek professional help for whatever help you need, okay? Whatever is necessary for you by contacting the appropriate provider, and that provider would not be me, okay? I want to be really crystal clear, so you're not getting on the call expecting something that the call is not. So that's why I'm giving you all of these disclaimers. But that's it for now. That's my time. I'm going to tune out while you tune in. Be sure to watch this video again and again and again as much as you need to, and share it out with at least 3 friends who might benefit from it as well. Okay. Also, be sure to watch the next video that YouTube recommends. As always, and until next time, I am wholeheartedly in this journey with you. Bye for now.